Welcome to Meet Your Needham Merchants. My name is Mark Silverman. Today we're going to meet with attorney Howard Goldman, founding partner of Goldman and Pease. How are you, Howard?
Thank you, Mark. Very nice to be here, and I appreciate the NBA coming out this morning and trying to learn a little bit about our firm. Thank you.
Our pleasure. So tell me a little bit about yourself, Howard. Are you from the Needham area originally?
Mark, I grew up in Cranston, Rhode Island, and came to Boston University Law School, and just fell in love with Boston and decided to stay here.
And how did you end up in the town of Needham?
Yeah, well, you know, Needham's a great place to live and to work, and I moved here about 15 years ago with my family. I was working in Boston at the time as a lawyer and wanted access to trains and also wanted great schools with a nice background, so Needham really fit the bill.
So let's rewind a bit to college. How did you decide you wanted to become an attorney?
Well, that's, Mark, you asked a tough question. At the time, I went to Cornell undergrad because I wanted to be a veterinarian and loved biology. And through the course of events, I became an econ major and put my interest in veterinary behind me. And then ultimately, you know, thought through, I'm sort of entrepreneurial as a lawyer and like business. So the practice we have is really of a small company offering legal services in sort of a prompt and professional but entrepreneurial way. And so now Goldman and Pease for many years has developed an expertise in three areas: real estate, litigation, and general corporate work.
What do you find most difficult about your practice?
Well, you know, it's being a small business like a lot of other business owners. You have many variables, from working with good people, employees, retaining people, making sure that the business comes in, working on efforts to market what we do, and ultimately to do quality work in a very cost-effective and prompt way. So it's a lot of variables, and most of the time they come together for us.
How is practicing law different now than it was 30 years ago?
The courts have a lot less resources, so they're requiring that our filings be more prompt, efficient, and you know, this price point competition. I think there always has been in any product, whether it's the law product or the moving business product. And so I think at the end of the day, people look for a quality legal product at a fair price, and they want you available when they have the need. And as my father would say, you know, people call lawyers because they have problems, and so it's important to promptly get back to people and to be thoughtful when you do that and be prepared.
I hear that the amount of work, the amount of legal work that's out there has decreased. Have you found a trend in your business levels, your sales levels?
Well, Mark, you know, perhaps we're contrarians in that regard. We have a market niche. We are a relatively small, nimble firm, and we feel that we can respond to trends as they develop. In law, there's constant changes that either through new laws or through the passage of cases, case precedent. And we've been very involved with foreclosure work, either working with condominiums in lien enforcement of unpaid condo fees, or working with lenders on some defaulted situations. And also we work with a national title insurance company dealing with defective title issues that comes up a lot of times through foreclosure. So unfortunately, because of these tough times, we have positioned ourselves to deal with those issues and have developed some expertise that's timely.
What are some of the issues that didn't exist years ago? Types of law, types of cases that you had never even heard of a few years ago that you're now dealing with, maybe as a result of new legislature?
There's so many areas of law, and that we've decided to get focused on real estate, litigation, and corporate work, working with small business owners. And so within those areas, there's changes. Sometimes when we get involved with a really an end point, sort of on the edge, the cutting edge perhaps, we would bring in consultants. For example, in that jury trial that we won last year, I brought in a colleague of mine, Brian Burke, who has a tremendous trial experience in front of a jury, and so together we actually produced that trial together. So what we see is when we need help from the outside, whether it's a legislator who has information about a particular bill, we're very active with certain trade organizations within our specialty. For example, IREM and CAI, those are two groups that deal with property managers and real estate issues, and they have a national base but a local presence. And we tried to stay active at the local level. We participate in these committee meetings. We often present We like to present materials, and we generate client updates to send to clients. So we're constantly being challenged with the changes in the law and challenging ourselves to be very much on top of it.
Tell me about your most interesting case.
We had an interesting real estate matter in Needham about 2 or 3 years ago in the Needham Business District, which is near the 128 off and on ramp. And that dealt with taking 3 retail properties and creating a condominium, commercial condominium, and being a little creative in the use of the condominium laws to permit the existing zoning and parking restrictions to stay in place. We've had a case last year. We were involved with a personal injury case with a Needham resident that was severely injured in an auto accident, and we worked for a couple, 3 years on that case, and ultimately presented to the jury last year and got a very significant $12 million jury verdict for our Needham client.
As I understand, you have a few partners, a few people that you work with here. Would you like to introduce those people to us, please?
I would. Not everyone is here this morning, but I would like to introduce you to the rest of the firm.
I'm Rebecca Ehrlichman. I'm an associate attorney at Goldman and Pease, and I specialize in civil litigation.
I'm Zachary Weisberg. I'm also an associate, and I also specialize in civil litigation.
I'm Robin Bernstein. I'm the closing coordinator here at Goldman and Pease.
My name's Cameron Pease. I'm one of the partners here at Goldman and Pease. My primary practice is civil litigation, with quite a bit of an emphasis on real estate and corporate work. And we represent quite a few different clients here in the Needham area. Presently, I have an adverse possession case going on in Needham, which is basically a boundary dispute between 2 neighbors. We're also representing another client in Needham dealing with basically a way and a dispute over the boundary line.
Well, I'm not going to let you off with just a few seconds of the introduction. I need to hear what your most interesting case has been since you've been practicing as an attorney.
My most interesting case, we had one last year that was very interesting. It was a case involving personal injury, where we ended up getting the second highest jury verdict in the state. It was a terrible personal injury case. And I would say that that's probably the most interesting based on the result.
And I have to ask, when there are so many attorneys out there, you open the yellow pages or go online, what makes your firm the one to call? What makes you different from all the other attorneys?
It's funny, Howard and I were talking about that the other day. I think it's our specialty, our years of practice, but also sort of the personal touch also. I went out just last week out to the client's site. Hadn't signed me up yet, but went out, took a look at the issue, looked at the problem, and we try to really use a hands-on approach and try to be as responsive as possible.
You know, Mark, that as you point out, the legal business is tough. There's a lot of lawyers coming out, but our firm has done well, and we've been growing over the years, and it's really because we provide quality service. And when people come to lawyers, they have a problem. And so we really think as a team, what's the best way and most efficient way to solve that problem? And so we're creative, we're responsive, and we try to be cost effective as well.
Well, you have a great reputation, and your team's doing an awesome job. That's the word on the street.
Thank you very much, Mark. Thank you.
Howard, Cameron mentioned, talked about the experience of the firm. Experience seems to be a big factor in your success. Could you elaborate on that a bit more?
Yeah, thanks, Mark. That's a good point about experience. I mean, people want to come to lawyers that have been through issues before and they know the best way to work through and get a resolution. I started working in Boston and worked there many years and ultimately moved out to Needham, and that was true for Cameron as well. So we both have fairly good-sized Boston law firm experience, which we feel has helped us to deliver a quality product here in Needham. You know, I just wanted to say also that experience relates to what we do outside the office as well. And I've been on the Needham Zoning Board of Appeals for about 5 or 6 years. And as you know, that's an organization, or I should say a government body, that issues special permits and deals with specific real estate issues here in Needham. And I'm very proud of the good work that's been done by the board. And there's been some great projects that I've been part of. And that's a tremendous experience base because you're learning, you're seeing people present, and you're kind of acting as a neutral. And so Needham does a great job to promote business. And I was also on the Economic Planning Committee, which was a group looking to whether Needham can create a better business environment and maybe to change some of the rules and regulations to make it a little bit easier to do business here in Needham. You know, I think sometimes it's great to actually see something that we've done. We have a project right down the street. It's in the New England Business District, right over 128, and that deals with that real estate condominium project dealing with 3 retail establishments right here in Needham. So if you guys have some time, I'd love to show you what we've done over there.
Absolutely. Let's go take a
Thank
walk.
you very much.
So this is the project, Howard. Tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, Mark, so we're now out at the site here. This is the business district. It's a combination really of a retail business district, a part of Needham, which is really on the Newton-Needham boundary right near 128. And the uses over time have changed. And so we're here behind Chili Bears. This is one of 3 retail tenants that was an existing tenant of the seller who was selling the property a couple of years ago. And there's 2 other retail facilities that we'll get to in a minute. And the interesting thing here was that it was necessary that these 3 separate businesses stay together because if you were to break up the site and have a subdivision, you would then have to comply with brand new and updated regulations that would be a lot more restrictive. So these 3 businesses felt that it was in their best interest to stay together, and so we used the current laws of condominium law. And so what we did was we formed a condominium association that collectively owns the common areas, but that each of the 3 retail operations would be the owner of their unit, a condominium unit. I know a lot of people have seen condominiums with residential, but here's a situation where it worked in the commercial industry, and everyone's happy. They pay the separate maintenance of the buildings, but they have shared area under the condominium laws that provides for that. And the net is that they didn't have to subdivide the property. Behind us is Boston Kitchen. They're a retail kitchen distributor, and they have a couple different locations. And then to my right over here is a AC facility that services air conditioning units. And then we obviously looked at the Chili Bear. So in total, there's 3 separate complexes that were all part of one property that was owned by one builder, and his name was Petrini. And so what we did was, as you see, there's a lot of parking spaces throughout this whole facility, and it was necessary we kept all this together as one parcel and avoid the subdivisions. So Boston Kitchen, as you see, has great visibility from 128, which was right behind us, and then the HVAC company has great access as well. So this was a property the clients were very excited to be here. They were already here as tenants. Each of these 3 retail establishments exist prior to the sale. And so what the condominium concept was just a way to keep it together and to allow these businesses to stay where they are, which is good for Needham as well in the tax base.
Well, you've done a tremendous job on this project as well as building your practice. I want to congratulate you on your success and wish you continued success.
Thank you, Mark,
very much.
very
Thank you for your time, Howard.
Mark, I just wanted to say a quick note about the NBA, the Needham Business Association that has put this together today. We've been proud members for probably 10 years now. It's a great way for businesses to participate, to get known as well, and there's lots of networking and business development that goes on. And I get quite active with the monthly breakfast, and last month they had the speaker from the hospital and what was going on there, and it's a great organization. I appreciate the NBA sponsoring this presentation today. Thank you.
It's our pleasure.
Thank you,
Howard.
Thank you.